You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, it's Michelle. How are you guys? Today we're going to talk about guilt, which is something I know a lot of us struggle with in this community. I'm just going to walk outside my back door. You can hear the birdies. Okay, so I had a question emailed to me by one of the women in our Facebook group. And she said, I'm leaving. I'm finally leaving, but I feel guilty. And how do I stop feeling guilty? And first, I think before I try to help her understand why she's feeling guilty, I think it's important that we talk about, I got that reversed. Before I talk about how to stop feeling guilty, I want to talk about why we feel guilty. Why do we feel guilty? Because the truth of the matter is we love people who struggle with addiction. And that typically brings a lot of drama and a lot of pain into our life, right? And we're desperately trying to help the person that we love get sober. We're trying to help them make better choices, to stay employed or to have better communication with their parents, or to learn what it feels like to constantly choose family over alcohol or drugs. We see how great their life can be if they just stopped their bad behavior. And we hold on for so long because we want to believe that they eventually, with the right time or with enough consequences or with the right education or help, they will live the life that we know they could live. And you guys know from the past episodes I've done, statistically speaking, the chances of that are not great. And so everyone listening, I know, is thinking, well, I love the person that's going to make it. And maybe you do. I certainly have had people in our community who have stayed with their loved ones, and their loved ones have gotten sober. And that is real, and that happens, and we need to celebrate that. That's why whenever I hear a story about a man or a woman that has had long-term sobriety, I just can't help it. I just get teary-eyed because my respect for them is so immense and huge that they are fighting such a powerful battle. I mean, addiction is incredibly difficult to conquer. I would think, and I don't suffer from addiction, but from all of the people that I've surrounded myself with over the last 12 years, it would probably be the greatest accomplishment of their life because it never goes away. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, it is a daily decision. Even 20, 30, years from now, you have to constantly make that decision every day, every moment, to avoid the thing your body or brain is craving the most. And that has got to be so difficult. So my empathy and my compassion for people who are struggling with addiction is immense. And when I hear somebody that has chosen sobriety, it's not just a simple, in my mind, from what I've seen, it's not just a simple decision. And I think people love to oversimplify this disease by just saying, well, I mean, it's easy. Just don't buy drugs and don't be around people with alcohol, or don't, gamble or look at porn or whatever they're addicted to. But I think it's so much more complicated than that. And I've used this example before, but I'll use it again. You guys, I love food, right? Like, food just brings me an immense amount of joy. And I probably should go take a look at how I use food as a reward. That might not be the healthiest behavior, but look, I'm okay with it. Like, at 44 years old almost, have made peace with the fact that I really enjoy food, and whatever results that gives on my body, it's fine. I accept it. But the idea of, I often tap into my empathy and compassion when thinking about someone struggling with addiction, when I think about someone restricting food. When I have in the past gone on a diet or removed an entire food group from my daily living, it makes me feel really upset. And that's all I can think about. So I've tried to do one of those gluten-free diets and dairy-free and whatever, yada, yada. I've tried them all, you guys. And the thing is that I actually think it makes it even worse for me to restrict or limit. And so I cannot imagine being somebody struggling with addiction where you have to remove something from your life that historically has made you feel good, right? While you're doing it, for the rest of your life. Knowing even that it's unhealthy for you, right? Sugar makes me feel happy. I love when I eat sugar. And the idea of removing it from my diet forever, for the rest of my life, would be really difficult. Could I do it? Absolutely. Of course I could. But do I want to do it? Is it something that, and we all know sugar's not that great for you. You know, there's lots of studies out there. So when I go back to thinking about loving someone suffering from addiction, I think about how difficult of a position they are in. And I also think that feeling of compassion and empathy that I know you feel too, because we are very similar and we have the same heart. I think everyone that is in our community has very similar characteristic traits within our heart. We love hard. We love well. We are loyal to almost to a fault that can get us into some very bad situations, right? But also our type of love is the love that changes the world, that brings joy, that really can be felt amongst other people, and people love to receive our love, which is why it's so frustrating when, you know, our love, which is such a gift, the way we love people is such a gift, and yet it's not working with the ones we love, right? With our one who's suffering from addiction. Where was I going with that? Okay, but what I'm saying is that, you know, we look at the person that we are in love with who's struggling, and that we feel empathy and we feel compassion with our special hearts, right? But that actually could be detrimental to us when we finally make the decision, for those of you that have or will in the future, to leave. That same special heart that loves well and loves hard and is empathetic, that can actually cause feelings of tremendous guilt for leaving. We feel we are giving up on the person that we wanted so badly to help. We feel like we're being disloyal, even though we're not being disloyal to our loved ones. We're being loyal to ourselves. We're finally saying, listen, addiction, I'm sorry, you win. And because I can't fight you anymore. I can't, and remember, we talk about the person we love, then the separate entity is addiction, kind of like the mistress in our marriage, and then there's us. So there's 3 people in our relationships. And basically, when we choose to leave or we choose to walk away, we're really surrendering the fight of addiction, and we're giving it up, and we're saying, we're getting out of the boxing ring. And we're saying, this is not my fight to fight. This is not my battle to win. Think about it like a Colosseum, back in the days where there was gladiators, right? Your loved one is a gladiator that needs to suit up and train up and go into that Colosseum and fight addiction, which, is the wild animal or whatever they used to fight. You're literally saying, not only am I not, by walking away and leaving your relationship, you're not only saying, I'm not going to get in that arena with you, because I have been in that arena with you, fighting like hell. Well, you're sometimes not even in the darn arena. You're not even, and I've got the scars to prove it. I've got the broken heart. I've got the pain. I've got the wounds to prove it, that I have been fighting and struggling with addiction all this time, and I am exhausted, and it doesn't work if I'm fighting addiction, because you need to be. It's your loved one that needs to be. And when you decide to leave, you're not only saying, I'm taking myself out of this ring, I'm taking myself out of this Colosseum, I'm not going to fight this for you. You're literally saying, and I'm not going to be in the stands watching or cheering you on. I'm not going to keep tabs anymore on how well or how poorly you are fighting this disease. I'm not going to be a spectator. I'm actually removing myself from the entire situation. I'm not even going to go near this Colosseum anymore. And that feels guilty for some of us, particularly if we don't leave with anger, because oftentimes if we choose to leave because we've been so badly hurt, and we leave, or if that, our loved one is having an affair, or we found out, just some really awful news, and that's like the final straw, then we leave in anger. And leaving in anger sometimes is easier in the short run when you love someone struggling with addiction than leaving with guilt. But the problem with leaving in anger is that the anger always dies down. It does. And then you start to miss them, and then you start to want them back. That's typically the pattern with anger. But leaving, I would say leaving with guilt makes way more sense to me, because you understand what you're doing. It's not a decision made in the heat of the moment with extreme passion, like anger sometimes. I mean, I know when I used to leave in anger, I always returned. Always, no matter how. And sometimes I was angry for days, or sometimes I was just angry for 30 minutes. It depends, But the time that I really left, I actually felt guilty too. I did. And I think that feeling guilty is completely normal, because it's you saying to addiction and to your loved one, I surrender. I now fully realize and recognize not only that I cannot help you, and that this is not my fight to fight, but that it's actually incredibly unhealthy for me to witness consistently throughout my life. This has paid a real toll on me emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and I have to leave. I have to say goodbye, because I need to survive. I am choosing myself. And you guys, that's a decision that you and I have a really difficult time making, is ourselves, choosing us, choosing a love and respect for ourselves, listening to our own values and morals and intuition, finally validating all of those feelings, red flags that we've been feeling throughout this relationship, and going, I honor those red flags. I hear those red flags. I can't necessarily explain all of the red flags, but I don't need to. I don't need to dissect and think about why I'm feeling hesitant or hurt or worried or anxious. I don't need to go in deep of why this is and try to convince myself that what I'm feeling is wrong. Instead, I'm going to just say, intuitively, I don't feel good in this relationship. And I'm tired. And I'm so exhausted from being worried all the time. And I've been neglecting myself. I have not been paying attention to who I am. And what do I want? And what is my future going to look like if I stay in this relationship? And when you ask yourself those questions, and the answers are different for every single one of us. There's no one right answer. There's no blanket statement I can say that applies to all. That's the beauty of what I'm trying to do, but that sounds very conceited. I think that's the beauty of asking questions, right? It's just be willing to consider the answers. Just be willing. My girlfriend asked me the other day, if you could change 4 things about your life, what would it be? And I'm still contemplating that question 4 days later, because I think it's so important for us to ask questions and answer them. I know you're looking for something that's just an easy, quick answer. Tell me what to do. Give me the specific steps. But here's the truth, is that some of you are going to do things, there's different answers for everyone. The only thing I can suggest is be courageous enough to listen to yourself. Listen to your own instincts. And the only way to do that is to get quiet and still. And if you were anything like me, when I loved someone struggling with addiction, I was so busy. Now with coronavirus, I understand that's probably not an option for you lately. But I preoccupied myself so much with taking care of everything outside of myself because I was avoiding. I was avoiding asking myself those questions because I was afraid of the answers. I knew the answer would lead me to fantasizing about a life that was far different from the one I had. And then if I recognized that, I knew that would be I would bring up feelings of great sadness and great mourning. And then after I felt sad about not creating this life that I knew I always deserved or wanted, I knew for me, I would be determined to get it. Once I took a moment to recognize that I wasn't exactly leading my best life, as Oprah would say, while loving someone struggling with addiction, I knew, okay, if I'm honest about that with myself first, then what does a different life look like? And then is there room in that really healthy, wholesome, wonderful picture? Is there room for my husband who's struggling with addiction? Or is that healthy, happy future not involve him and not involve this disease? If I'm being honest and saying, I actually don't think he's going to get sober, or I'm not sure. Does a person in your life who is not sober, is that part of your happy, healthy picture? Maybe for you, you can find a way around it. I know there's women that do that. But for me, it was no. It was, the vision that I have for my future does not involve somebody struggling with addiction and bringing addiction into our home. And so as soon as I answered that, I knew it was time to go. And that's a really scary place to be. But if you feel like it's the right decision for you, all I can tell you is that your feelings of guilt are normal. They're part of the letting go process. They're part of the mourning that happens when we love someone struggling with addiction and we leave them. We're mourning for the life that we thought we could build with them that never came to fruition. And we're letting that go. And even though it is wonderful and courageous and so healthy to leave for you, for me, it still is a mourning process. So when I left, I absolutely felt feelings of guilt. Absolutely. I thought, here's a man that I have loved for so long. We met when we were 15, and I'm just giving up. And then I'm asking for things. Not only am I leaving and, sort of abandoning this marriage, but I'm asking for things in the divorce. Like, I'm asking for money. I'm asking for the kids. I'm asking for pieces of furniture in our home. That felt really guilty to me too. Like, if I'm the one initiating this, I should just be grateful. Take the kids for whatever time he's willing to give. Not take any money. Don't take anything out of the house. Start completely new because I'm the one giving up. And I remember my therapist, I literally went into her office and was like, I'm just gonna go peacefully out of this marriage. And if he wants to offer me some money, that would be great. I'd love the armoire and maybe a couch. And she looked at me and she was like, no, Michelle, no. Although I know you want to take crumbs from this, really, truthfully, the one who has already left is your husband. He was the one who decided to leave the marriage without physically leaving. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's exactly right. I have been married to a man who hasn't chosen me or the kids consistently. Occasionally there would be some sign of hope, but he left me a long time ago. I have been alone for a really long time, married and alone. And he has abandoned me hundreds of times to go get drunk in the other room, or not come home because he wants to go to a bar, or leave for days to go on a drug binge and have an affair. I've been abandoned. He decided to leave. In fact, I'm not quite sure, looking back on my marriage, if he ever was there. I don't know when our wedding vows were being exchanged. I don't even know if on that day he was there. So it's, the feelings of guilt are okay. Don't shame yourself or judge yourself for feeling guilty for leaving. And hopefully understanding that you really aren't the one leaving. You're the one that's reacting to their decision to abandon your relationship by choosing drugs or alcohol or whatever they're addicted to over you. You're just taking ownership of your reaction to their bad decisions, which we talk about is truly the only thing that you are in control of. So if you have decided to leave and you are struggling with feeling guilty, to that I say congratulations. You are one strong, courageous person who has such a beautiful future ahead of you. And there is a process to leaving. It is similar to a death in the marriage, because your marriage has, or your relationship is dead. I mean, it's not working. It's not alive anymore. And that's a process that you have to go through. Just promise me this, that whatever you're feeling, whether it's anger or guilt or sadness or even fear of how all of this is going to work out and how all of this is going to come together, promise me that you are not going to judge yourself for feeling those feelings. Just acknowledge them. Just say, you know what? This feels really freaking uncomfortable, I don't love this feeling, but it will pass. It's okay for you not to try to fix everything right away. It's okay for you to rest with things not being perfect. It's okay for you to have a break, to take a moment. And I know that that's really hard because you and I are really similar. And when things aren't working well, oh my gosh, I try everything and all things to fix them immediately. And I'm learning, just like you, that it's okay for things not to be okay. It's okay. They're not going to not be okay forever, you know? So that is my insight into feeling guilty. And I love you guys. I believe in you 110%. I know that this is tough, and I know you're making huge decisions. And let's not forget, there's a pandemic going on, which is just adding so much more complication and weird feelings of weirdness for some of you. I know for me. So I just commend you for sticking with this and for getting help. And if you are, I always encourage, listen to this podcast, join one of our programs. If you cannot afford the program, I do not want you to worry. You can still join. I don't want finances to be a reason why you don't get the help that you need. You deserve help, regardless of your financial situation. So if you're in a tight bind and you're like, Michelle, I want to go deep. I'm ready to go deeper. I need your program. I want to listen 10 to 15 minutes every day. We've got 3 of them. Then just ask. And if you can't afford it, that's okay. I'm still going to give you help. So email us. And also, if you are going to therapy and seeing a therapist, I've done a lot of presentations for therapists in the past, trying to help them understand specifically about helping somebody that's struggling with addiction. Helping somebody who loves someone struggling with addiction. Share with them your work here. I am not a licensed therapist, and we make it a point to say that. I'm just a woman who loves research and has been doing this for 12 years and who went through it and lived through it. And I saw nobody is specifically talking about this one subject. And when I was looking for help for the 10 years that I was married to somebody, I really wanted advice. And instantly, I didn't want to wait for my therapist appointment once a week. And so that's the motivation and the intention behind creating this community, is to create a beautiful, positive place filled with hope that is real and not self-helpy jargon, specifically and only for people who love someone struggling with addiction. And we're a small little community, and I love it that way. And I said it before, I am not interested in growing. I don't want to be huge or mega, not looking to be on Oprah. I'm just fulfilling a promise to myself that when I was you guys, that I said, all right, if I ever figure this out, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to helping other people, because there was no help consistently. And so bring these tools to your therapist if you want to talk about it with them. I'm so fine with that. If you want to share the program with your therapist and say, hey, here's a lady, this is what she's teaching, what do you think? I am great, do that, because the main goal is to make you feel better. The main goal is to help you make decisions that are going to directly affect your life, that will get you to a better place than you are today. That's it. That's all. It's that simple. And that's the mission. And so I have no problem at all. If you have a friend, please share. I have no problem. Even if your friend doesn't want to pay for the program, great. Give her your version for free. There's no, I hope there's no ego here. So let's just continue to keep this safe. And I think that that's the reason why it has to be a small community, because safety is our number one priority. And that's why, if you order the program, it doesn't say love over addiction. There's no word of addiction in any receipts on your credit card. If you order one of our workbooks that come to your house, there's nothing on the packaging says addiction. We try very hard to think about your personal safety. That is our priority. That's why the secret Facebook group, you can't find it. No one will know you're a member on it, and you can't find it on the internet. I don't advertise it. I don't do advertising that follows you. I don't do the Google algorithms because I want to keep this small, and I want to keep it safe, and I want to keep it intimate, and I want to keep it real. I want to keep it grounded, and I want it to be impactful. So I don't know why I went on that tangent. So that was a weird tangent. But anyways, I love you, and I'm here to help you in any way I can. And I believe in you 100%. I'll talk to you next week. This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with my personal thoughts and beliefs. We are bonded together by the fact that we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.